Hello, welcome to the Run Testers. My name's Nick, and in this video I'm only comparing the Nike Zoomfly 5 and the Puma Deviate Nitro 2. So I want to talk about these two shoes because ostensibly on paper you've got two quite similar shoes here from different brands. They're both plated training shoes with the brand's top foam on paper in their midsoles, so you think they should do a similar job. Actually, the execution of the two is very different. I think that's quite interesting. In terms of price, they are quite similar though. In the UK, the Puma Deviate Nitro 2 is £140, it's $160 in the US, whereas the Zoomfly 5 is £145 in the UK and $160 in the US. They've both got an 8mm drop, but the Deviate Nitro 2 is the much lighter shoe. It's 276 grams or 9.7 ounces. That's in UK size 9. With the Nike Zoomfly 5 it gets a bit complicated because the two shoes weigh quite different amounts. I've got one that's about 304 grams and one that's 324 grams. But you're looking at around 315 grams, 11 ounces ish for the shoe, and that's in UK 8.5, which obviously is a bit smaller than the Puma. In terms of the stack height, the Puma is 36.5mm at the heel and the Nike seems a bit higher. Looks like it's right up against or even maybe a bit higher than 40mm at the heel there. So it comes to the design. Puma, you've got a mesh upper with a little bit of padding around the heel, not a great amount, and then their power tape used on the upper there to create a bit more structure and support. In the midsole, you've got two different foams. You've got Puma's Nitro Elite foam on the top, which is their top foam. It's the PEBA based foam that's used in things like the Deviate Nitro Elite and the Fast R racing shoes. Then you've got their normal Nitro foam as well, which is underneath it at the heel and wraps around it at the forefoot, and that's a nitrogen infused TPEE foam. You've also got the power plate, which is a carbon composite plate, 70% carbon, 30% TPU, and that runs through the length of the shoe. And then you've got Puma Grip outsole, which is Puma Grip ATR at the heel, which is their all-terrain version of Puma Grip, even better grip on things like light trails, and then the normal Puma Grip at the front there, which, as we all know, is a very good, reliable outsole material. So with the Nike, you've got pretty standard mesh upper with a separate tongue. It's really quite plumply padded around the tongue and collar of the shoe, which gives an indication it's built more as a training shoe than anything too speedy. You've got ZoomX emblazoned on the side of it there, but you're just getting a recycled ZoomX core. You can see it through the window on the bottom of the shoe there. So you've got that recycled ZoomX core, which is then surrounded by the EVA SRO2 carrier foam that Nike used in a lot of shoes this year. Then you've got really quite an impressive outsole, good amount of coverage at the forefoot and heel there, and of course a full length plate runs through the midsole as well. So on the fit, I've got the Zoomfly 5 in an 8.5, which is half a size down on my normal size, because just that was what was available when I was testing them out, and it fits okay. I think I probably would have been happier true to size. Sometimes Nike's trail shoes run a bit big for me, but yeah, the Zoomfly I think works well true to size, and the same is true of the Puma Deviate Nitro 2. No concerns at all with that in my normal size. So yeah, true to size both shoes. So both of these shoes have big name foams in the midsole and of course a plate. So you might go in, as I did, thinking you're getting a fast training shoe, maybe a bit similar to the Endorphin Speed 3, but actually these are built much more to be daily training shoes that have a plate in there and those exciting foams. They're not really designed to be all-out speed shoes, racing shoes. They're more daily trainers, versatile shoes, and that's something that the Puma Deviate Nitro 2 excels at. Like, this was a huge grower for me. When I first stepped out of the box, it felt a bit dull and lifeless. I was going, not really sure. I was expecting something really fun and bouncy here because of the foams and the plate in the midsole, but once you kind of get into the mindset, this is just actually a very versatile, practical shoe that you can do a lot of different kinds of training in and start using it for those different kinds of training. You really warm to it. I really ended up liking this shoe a lot, and it's a lot quicker than I thought at first as well. I've done several sessions in it. I've done some reps on the track. I've done reps on like a canal towpath and a steady 10 miler, which again I did mostly on light trails, and that's one thing that the shoe is very capable of. Because of the excellent outsole, you can go and do your workouts, your fast sessions, wherever you want to. If you want to go and run along a canal towpath and it's a bit muddy or a bit slick, then this is a great shoe for that. But actually on the road as well, it does produce a really fast ride, and it's one of those shoes that just kept getting the job done in workouts and normal runs. And even though the ride isn't that exciting, it's got quite a traditional feel. There's not a big amount of bounce there. There's not a very smooth flowing rocker. It was always working well for me whenever a run I did doing it, and that included like very slow, easy runs in it as well. It does really work as a versatile shoe that can handle a range of training really well. I think maybe my one gripe with it maybe is that I don't think it's going to be comfortable enough for me to use for extended long runs at fairly slow paces. I just think there's slightly more cushion shoes out there, or maybe I'd use a shoe without a plate like the Velocity Nitro for that. So the Zoomfly 5 goes even further away from the idea that this is a speed shoe. This is just not a speed shoe in my opinion. It's a pretty heavy shoe and just quite a clunky shoe. If you try to move a tool at speed in it, it just doesn't have a very natural ride at all. It feels very big on the foot, it's quite heavy, don't really get into a good flow with the rocker design of the shoe. So I just didn't enjoy it for that. Like I did a couple of faster efforts on the road. I took it to one track session, and you can kind of work your way through it, which you can do in pretty much any shoe. But yeah, it doesn't feel right for that at all. You're not getting a big bouncy feeling from the midsole here. So the Zoom X foam, like I said, it's recycled stuff, which is a bit less bouncy than fresh Zoom X. But I also don't think there's that much in there, and you don't really feel the plate either if you try and move quickly in it. It just feels like a bit of a block on the end of your foot, and it supports and protects the body, but you're not really getting an energetic, propulsive ride from it at all. Like, it works better when you're just kind of plodding around, and the outsole is quite good, so you can stray onto lighter trails, though it's not as good as the outsole on the Deviate Nitro 2. But yeah, I think the only run I really would say I actually enjoyed it was just long, slow, relaxed runs where I did find I could get into a bit more of the rhythm with the shoe, and it did feel comfortable and protective. So in that one area, yeah, it was quite a nice option, but I do think there's a lot of shoes out there that do that a fair bit better than the Zoom Fly 5. And to me, it just feels a bit strange. It doesn't feel like a shoe that's really got a purpose. They did this big design upgrade this year, but they, if anything, made it slower and less lively than the previous editions of the shoe, which didn't have Zoom X in the midsole, and made a shoe that I just don't think really does anything particularly well. And there's certainly shoes in Nike's range and beyond that do everything a bit better. But yeah, I used it for a range of training. You can get through a range of training in it, but none of it was particularly effective. Like, it doesn't have a particularly dynamic ride. It's not very fast, and even on easy runs where it feels okay, it still feels quite big on the foot, and not a shoe that really I ever got into a good rhythm with my running gait anyway. So when it comes to the verdict on these two shoes, for me it is a bit of a no-brainer. The Deviate Nitro 2 is the clear winner. I think it's just a much more capable shoe all round. Like I said, it's a really practical shoe. Puma have a few of these going on at the moment where they don't feel particularly amazing on the run, but they feel fine, and then you just start really warming to them over time because they just do a job in so many different ways really well. And I'm a sucker for a great outsole like this that really does increase the versatility of the shoe. So it's already got the performance to handle a really nice range of daily training, especially the speedier stuff, but then you're adding in the versatility of being able to take it on trails even as the weather starts to turn a bit bad, and the fact that it will always grip nice and reliably on pavements even if they're wet and a bit slushy. So yeah, lots of ticks in the Puma Deviate Nitro 2's box, whereas the Zoom Fly 5, there's not a lot to tick in this box. I'd say like maybe the one run where I prefer it to the Deviate Nitro 2 would be those long, slow, relaxed runs where I think you get a bit more comfort and protection from the vast stack of foam here, but that foam's not really giving you a lot back still. It's just there protecting the body, and there are lots of shoes I'd rather use for that. And if that long, slow, relaxed run was a multi-terrain run, I'd still prefer the Puma. So I think this is a clear winner here. It's interesting that these plated shoes are moving more towards the daily trainer category, and there's something like the Endorphin Speed 3, which is a fantastic all-rounder for lots of people, myself included. I think it is probably the best all-rounder on the market, but it is more of a dedicated speed shoe. It's a lighter shoe than these, it's got less grip, and it's more speed focused. So even though the speed you can use for everything, these two are built a bit more to handle the rigours of daily training. But anyway, to sum up these two shoes, certainly the Puma Deviate Nitro 2 gets my vote. It's the better shoe all round. Zoom Fly 5 just feels a little bit a shoe without a place, whether it's in Nike's range or beyond. Like, I don't see where you'd use this within Nike's range. They've got some great cushion shoes in there already, like the Invincible and the Infinity. Obviously amazing racing shoes, and then if you are looking for a daily trainer, the Pegasus is better than this. It's much cheaper, it's more versatile, I like it a lot more. And then the Pegasus Turbo Nature, the same is true for that. That's a bit faster than the standard Pegasus. So Zoom Fly 5, I just don't know where it fits for Nike, whereas Deviate Nitro 2 works very well in a rotation within Puma or beyond. It is a very capable daily trainer with a good outsole that can handle good range of paces and terrains, sits very nicely alongside the carbon shoes, which have that foam but are a lighter, more propulsive feel, things like the Deviate Nitro Elite and the Fast R shoes. And you can also use a more cushion shoe alongside it if you do want a bit of extra cush, which I would on longer runs, things like the Velocity Nitro, Magnify Nitro. So Deviate Nitro shoe makes sense, it's a very good shoe. Zoom Fly 5, can't quite get my head round the changes made here, wouldn't be one I'd recommend. That's a comparison of these two plated training shoes. Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you're a huge committed fan of the Zoom Fly line and the 5 in particular, let me know why, basically, what keeps you coming back to the shoe as opposed to other options in Nike's range or indeed from beyond. And if you've been won over by Puma this year, let us know what you think of the shoes in the comments below. Or if you hate the shoe, let us know that as well. Whatever, let us know, either way. Thanks very much for watching. We'll speak to you next time.